Rich? Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through these. You want to just say a few words quickly? Yeah. The man of many hats.
Yeah. Oh, please don't invite my wife to come to the next session. Can you back up slides? Just.
No, I've really screwed this up. Okay, start talking. I'll fix it. Go ahead.
I can't talk until that's. Anyway, first of all, I want to take a moment and I'm going to lead the next session and conversation, which is really going to talk about post-pandemic placemaking kinds of organizations and what's needed. And in some respects, Tysons, the new organization, is actually post-pandemic. It's created in a whole different kind of context. And I want to suggest that it has some characteristics that I think you're going to find very interesting as we sort of move forward. First of all, Tysons, just to get some sense of it, Tysons, Virginia has a workforce of about 100,000 people and a residential population of 30,000. It's about the size of Charlotte's downtown. It's this huge kind of complex, and its major problems, these are some of the qualities that you'd see today when you look at it. It's one of the top 15 employment centers in the country, 30,000 residents, 4 transit centers, and a major generator of fiscal benefit for the county. It exists in Fairfax County with a population of 1.6 million people, which is larger than the state of Maine. But it doesn't have a sense. Its big major problems, if you could flip this for me, and that's Tysons in the evening. And by the way, we're trying to replace the word Tysons Corner with Tysons. Tysons Corner is the sort of suburban name. Tysons, I think, is the evolving center in Somerset. Next slide there. So its major concerns, as many of you know in the area, and I'm certainly was part of it, were image, place, and community. Those are the things that really, I think, they want to focus on. Go next slide. So when a group got together, and interesting, if the group that got together was a combination of publicly supported, it was civically supported, and business supported. It grew that way. It didn't grow with an intention, quite frankly, to be a business improvement district. It was something really quite different. And it did an analysis of organizations around the country, many of which were sort of edge cities kinds of things, King of Prussia, Buckhead. But it also looked at Georgetown. It looked at the waterfront. It looked at a number of places and looked at the kinds of programs that I think most organizations would feel are important to undertake, and said, well, we need to do that too. But they want to do something else. Let me have the next slide. Their idea was actually to become a catalyst for transformation. They wanted to be more than a service organization. They want to be a leadership organization. And I think that's one of the things that if you can almost look backwards, the groups that preceded BIDS, if you look at the long history of downtown organizations, were catalytic planning organizations. And they were preceded by business associations. We've moved to catalytic planning organizations, and those organizations catalyze business improvement districts. It's almost like we're stepping back, and we have to use the older tools and be catalytic organizations. And this is very much what they wanted. Now, the slide before this, you go back a second. No, I guess that's it. Okay, thank you. Go forward. Very interesting. Patricia Marrero, who's one of the students in our class, we teach here at Georgetown. We asked students to do a SWOT analysis of places. And one of the things she did is she looked at DuPont and found all the things about DuPont that was really of consequence that you would look normally. Its location, many of the stuff that Colleen talked about. But what she saw, which is very different, and I think I suggest this is a kind of maybe a younger generation look, but it's quite frankly post-COVID look, and it's the secret recipe. It was the community partnerships. That's really where I think, quite frankly, many people who run BIDS have played a lot of time. It's that it's the informal connections. That's where you build the value. Services were, my board members years ago downtown said, you got to make downtown clean, safe, and friendly, no question. They want to be tangible and visible, but that's so that you can do the other things. Leadership grows out of that, but the leadership agenda is always the more important agenda. And the leadership agenda is through the secret service, secret sauce, if you like, this recipe. And these are the kinds of organizations that Colleen, in fact, has pulled together to do so much. And much of her work is leadership as it is the management of the day-to-day kinds of things. So just the final comments I'll make here, next slide if I can, is they created an organization which they're calling the Tysons Community Alliance. Not a business improvement district. It's funded publicly and privately. The private sector is making contributions through other means. They have these proffer systems in Virginia, but they're contributing to the Metro Rail line, transportation. But this is the board of the new organization. And it has on it people in the middle of the one column. There's Jim Policaro from Lerner. Some of those who know the name Lerner. Lerner owns a baseball team, owns most of Tysons, good portions of it. Major property owners, but it also has representatives of the county supervisors, of the county agencies, and it also has citizens who represent civic groups. That's the board, that's the nexus in which we're sort of working to go forward. So I just want to suggest that as you look to the new kinds of organization, this organization, by the way, had its first board meeting 15 days ago. It got its funding 17 days ago, and its first executive committee yesterday. So we don't have much to report. Other than I think we're heading off in a new direction, and we're sort of building the basis of going into the future. So that's my brief comments about Tysons. Thanks.